get us there. Only enough ambition to see Clerks. He didn't see the rest. He didn't see this. He could never fucking envision this. But me, lurking in the deep recesses of that kid's imagination and shit, when I heard John Pearson say, cutting this ending is a fast track, perhaps, to a world where you don't have to pay for the next movie. That's where I woke up and I was like, hold on. And I could fucking see things like tonight. I could dream of shit like a whole room full of people overpaying to see a movie. He didn't have those kind of smarts and shit like that. He was smart enough to make the movie. I was the one that was like, I think I can wring a career out of this. And so I made the decision. I cut that ending and that kid stops existing and I become Kevin Smith. That Kevin Smith comes into existence and I've lived almost 30 years on the back of that one fucking success. I've built an entire fucking mini empire and shit. I've had all my dreams come true, made wonderful movies, made movies that people hate and shit like that. But most importantly, made movies. That kid dreamed of making one movie. This kid dreamed of keeping it going. This entire fucking life.
It always gets started.
I'm very fortunate because I have lived in the bounty that he created and stuff like that. And here we were talking about making Clerks 3, closing the loop and shit like that. And I had a chance here to kind of see if I could bring to life, enact in real life, my favorite Taoist proverb, which makes it sound like I've got a lot. I only know one. Lao Tzu said it like a million years ago. I don't know how I originally said it, but the English translation goes something like this. To be great is to go on. To go on is to go far. To go far is to return. The furthest you could go from the point of departure is the point that you left. And I love shit like that. It means life is circular. No matter what you do, it's a total fucking circular existence. Just like this movie. I felt like, oh shit, it's an Ouroboros. You know, the snake that eats its tail. But in this case, it blows himself at the same time. So I was like, shit, man, maybe we can fucking stick the landing here. Maybe I get a chance to be went so far that we can fucking return and stuff. And, you know, in order to do that, we had to kind of make it pure again. Clerks is my life. Fucking just with names changed. Clerks 2 is not my life at all. Clerks is a film. Clerks 2 is a movie. And I love both of them. I love Clerks 2 probably even more than Clerks, I'll be honest with you. But Clerks, yeah, fuck you. Clerks is a movie that, again, earnest, authentic, made fucking some raw passion and shit like that. Total outsider art by an amateur. By the time you get to Clerks 2, it's a guy who knows what he's doing and stuff, but he can't tell you that same story anymore. Like back in the beginning, man, I was boots on the ground retail. That movie is what it is because I would only turn the camera off to go over to the register and ring somebody up, go like, thanks, come again, and then go back to making the movie and shit. And you know, I can't do that anymore. I used to be boots on the ground retail, but thanks to the success of Clerks, I own the retail store. You know, I got to own Jay and Silent Bob Secret Set for 25 years now, and if I had an employee like Randall, who's like, this job would be great for the fucking customers, right? I'd be like, you're fucking fired. Get out. I know I made Clerks, unpack it with your animals. Get the fuck out. So I can't write that story anymore. I can't give you boots on the ground retail. I'm just not that person. I haven't been that person since fucking 1994, since the movie got bought. Also can't tell you anything new that you don't know. Clerks had discovery to it, man, right? Like where I could be like, hey, come here, snowballing. Like, what the fuck? And you go tell 100 people, like, where the fuck did you hear that? Like, Clerks, it's a dirty movie, man. You gotta see it. But could you imagine me trying to tell you some new fucking sex term that you haven't heard before? Like, the internet happened 2 minutes after Clerks. I could never tell you anything new again. If I tried to put something like snowballing in here today, you'd be like, Kev, how quaint. You know, you think we've heard of that? That's a subcategory on Pornhub I jerk off to regularly. So I can't give you that movie. So by the time I get to Clerks 2, I was like, what kind of movie can I give? Because I want to play with Dante and Randall. They mean a lot to me and shit. So I said, ooh, I can just make up a story. That's what people do and shit. So Clerks 2 is Dante and Randall fan fiction. None of those things ever happened to me. I never worked at a fast food joint. There was never any threat anyone would ever fucking make me move to Florida and shit. And even though I've lived a fucking wonderful life full of adventure and shit, and had a lot of dreams come true and shit, Brian will attest to this. I have never been to a donkey show.
I've called him numerous times. He just didn't want to come.
I'm sorry, Jesus!
So, like, at the end of the day, all of that's made up. And Clerks 2 is basically like me going, what would Dante and Randall do if I had $5 million?
I know. Yeah. I'm doing to a
Clerks
theater.
3, though, felt like we had a chance, like I said, to fucking go so far as to return. And in order to do that, we gotta go back to the original formula. And the original formula is, it's gotta be your life. You can't make it up. It's gotta be fucking real. Make it a film again. Close like you fucking started. So, how do we do that? We gotta make a film that's as close to my real life as possible. Well, this is about as close as we fucking get because Dante and Randall work in a store that I used to work at for years and years. Randall has a heart attack that looks awfully like mine, and then Dante and Randall go make a black and white movie at their convenience store, which seems an awful lot like the one that I made years ago. Suddenly we're back to like square one in terms of like authenticity. So I can't put those other things in, but I can make it authentic in other ways with the real life rather than the format. And once we're at that point, I was like, wow, this is crazy. I've lived this life where I've gotten everything I've wanted. Like I've had dreams and I've manifested them and come true and shit like that. All because that fucking kid made that decision to make that fucking movie. And on the back of that great decision, I've lived an amazing fucking life. And here I am about to close the story that he fucking started. And I was like, oh my God, here's my opportunity. If I've gone so great as to go on, I've gone so far as to go on and come back and return. Like, I got a chance here to fucking like make things right, reach through the streams of time and correct something. Because all that fucking little boy ever wanted was to kill Dante. So I was like, let's give him what he always wanted. So Clerks 3 is kind of me going like, here man, thank you. Thank you for everything you've given me. I'm giving you back the one thing that meant the world to me, man. He's dead now, you can rest. And I put that fucker to bed like Tony Stark.
Could be worse.
Yes.
Could be worse. No, I'm saying it really could be worse. I'm not saying it was worse.
I remember when Brian read the script, Brian was like, I was like, what'd you think? And he's like, well, you've been trying to kill me for fucking years. And I was like, I know, but how's it end? He goes, I liked it. And I was like, what'd you think of the Swan Song speech? He goes, it's wonderful, but it's gonna be really hard to say goodbye to Dante. And I was like, why are we saying goodbye to Dante? And he goes, did you read the script that I wrote? And I was like, yes, did you read the script that I wrote? And he goes, yeah, why? And I was like, I don't know, if you would have read that script that I wrote, you would have seen that like throughout Clerks 3, Dante talks to a dead Becky, so why can't fucking Randall talk to a dead Dante throughout Clerks 4? So we went and shot it. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Clerks 4. I honestly don't think we'll ever get there. I think you've not seen the last of Randall, and I'm sure you've not seen the last of Dante, but I don't think there'll ever be a Clerks 2. There will be a Mallrats fucking 2.
Just so you know, a Clerks 4 will literally be 25 minutes as Elias and Randall try to figure out how to fucking open a lock with them.
Where did you get those wonderful toys?
Well, I mean, you guys are shouting out movie titles. Do you want to know what the next 5 movies are?
Yeah!
Okay, we figured this out early on the tour. Somebody asked, like, what are you doing next? And I was like, wow, recently, a few months back, I realized this Clerks 3 represents my 15th film as a director. I never thought I'd make one, let alone fucking 15. But when you're close to 15, you're like, shit, man, we're close to fucking 20. So I became obsessed with figuring out if I could get to 20 before I dropped dead. And I figured out I could. It's about 10 years worth of movies and shit. And we kind of mapped them out one night, when I was on stage. If Clerks 3 is my 15th movie, then the 16th, or that was a TV show, or the 17th would pivot with each other depending on what happens. The good folks at Lionsgate, who fucking financed this movie and shit, finally like popped the question, which in our line of work is like you work together for a long time, and finally somebody says, "So, what are you going to do next?" And that's their way of saying like, "We're interested in doing whatever you want to do next." So when they asked me, I was like, "Well, I'll be honest with you. I think I'm going to go back to Universal and finish our negotiations." And they're like, "On what?" And I was like, "For the last 6 years, we've been trying to make a Mallrats sequel, Twilight of the Mallrats."
Yeah.
Don't get too excited, it ain't been going good. I told Lionsgate, I was like, they were like, "Well, are you about to do it?" And I was like, no. It's been a long, protracted negotiation and stuff. And they were like, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, it never even started very well. I went into Universal and I was like, kids, I'm ready, man. After all this time, let's do it. I want to make a sequel to Mallrats." And they were like, "We own Mallrats?" I was like, "Fuck yeah, you own Mallrats. Look it up." And they look it up and like, "Holy shit, we own Mallrats." Like, "Oh my god, I love that movie." I was like, "Great, because I got the fucking sequel right here. It's called Twilight of the Mallrats. Everybody fucking comes back, even fucking Gil Hicks and shit."
That's right, like a jackhammer.
So I gave him the script. I was like, "You give that shit a read, man. We'll talk about it tomorrow." And I came back in the next day, and the Universal executives who make Universal movies all day long looked at me from across the desk, held up my script, and they were like, "Kevin, this is neither fast nor furious." So they booted me down from big boy Universal to a lower division of Universal, just straight to video movies. I don't give a fuck, because I take them out on tour and shit like that. I just want their fucking money. Problem is, they won't give me enough of their money. That division makes movies to the tune of $5 million, not a penny above. And our budget on Mallrats 2 is $7 million. A lot of it has to do with COVID costs and shit like that. You got $10, that'll help. But at the end of the day, we can't meet. Like, they won't fucking come up a single dime. We can't go down a dime, not because we're like, we deserve more. It's just that's what it fucking costs. We're shooting in a mall. Got all these people, we gotta test people 3 times a day and shit like that. If they lift COVID regulations, the budget could come down. And I'm not bitching about it, I want everyone to be safe, but it has added costs to movies. COVID costs were about $450,000 on top of the budget of this movie and shit like that. So, we're just at a place where it's like, either they gotta come down, which they never do, or we gotta go up. And I tried to go up with them, or they gotta go up, or we gotta come down. And they'll never fucking go up. And I said to them, I was like, "Look, there's no $2 million difference here. What if I bring in a partner? I could bring in fucking $2 million." And they're like, "Universal does not co-produce on projects of this size." And I was like, "Okay, well, what if I fucking just brought in $2 million and you don't even have to fucking pay it back and shit?" And they're like, "That sounds shady." Very New Jersey. So we're at this impasse, and I remember Liz Destro, like at the end of the Reboot Roadshow tour, she's one of the producers on the movie. She was like, "I heard you on the Q&A, you were talking about wanting to write Clerks 3. And I was like, "Yeah, man, as soon as we finish shooting Mallrats 2, I'm gonna write Clerks 3. And she goes, "Well, Kevin, based on how Universal is behaving, like, I bet you, if you wrote Clerks 3, I can get that made before Mallrats 2 ever happens." And I was like, "No way." So I told Lionsgate, "Man, we're gonna go back to the table with Universal and try to hash this out, because I got a script and I love it, and I'm right now, all I want to do is sequelize all my shit and play with my old toys and shit, so I gotta do it before that mood changes." And Lionsgate was like, "Oh, we work with Universal all the time, let us get into it." So it could be that Clerks 3 is the KO pectate that loosens up the shit that is Mallrats.
And what could help this whole endeavor is you guys came on the right day. Today is the release of the DVD and Blu-ray edition of this very here movie.
Yeah.
So if you want to feel, the really good, happy kind of feelings you felt with this movie, and you want to take it home with you, this is the perfect time. Oh my God, there's a holiday coming up. It's perfect for that.
What a subtle salesman.
Yes. So happy Kwanzaa to everybody.
He's absolutely right, though. We timed the tour to end on like the fucking day that the movie comes out on DVD and Blu-ray, because physical media got this fucking movie made, man. After Jay and Silent Bob reboot, Lionsgate had home video. Universal had overseas, Saban had domestic. Lionsgate had home video, which to me was streaming and digital and shit. I forgot that there are a bunch of people that still buy DVDs and Blu-rays. And Lionsgate leans very heavily into that audience. They make amazing steelbooks and shit like that. So they called us 4 months after Jay and Silent Bob Reboot's home video debut and shit, and they were like, we sold so many copies of Jay and Silent Bob Reboot on DVD and Blu-ray that if you have any more of this Jay and Silent Bob bullshit, and you can make it for under $8 million, like fucking bring it here. And I was like, I am filled with nothing but Jay and Silent Bob bullshit. And so they were like what? And I was like, well, Clerks 3, and that's how we got here tonight. So anyone who bought a DVD of Jay and Silent Bob Reboot or a Blu-ray, you manifested this movie. Brian's right. You buy Clerks 3, Mallrats is on its way. That's simple. So that would be movie 16. But what if Universal still drags ass? I'm not gonna sit around and fucking wait. I learned a long time ago, you gotta have every plate spinning, and the one that stops, that's what you concentrate on. So I got the pivot picture. The pivot picture, which would be either 17 or if it goes before Mallrats 16, is predicated on recent events in my life. And over the course of the last few months, my friends and I bought my hometown movie theater. The movie theater I used to go to as a kid, my father would take me to the movies, take me to that movie theater. All through high school I went there and shit, and my friend Ernie, who I owned the theater with. It was called the Atlantic Movie House. When I was a kid, it was called the Atlantic Highlands Twin Cinema. And recently I was going through a bunch of shit, and I found this fucking note that we're gonna frame and put up. It's from my high school girlfriend, Kim Locker, and she plays the girl in the movie who's known to an Asian design major. So when we were in high school, I got this note I found from 1980. What was the year that Dirty Dancing came out? 88, 87? 87. So there's a fucking note that she left in my locker, and it says, Dear Kevin, please take me to the Atlantic Highlands Twin Cinema to see Dirty Dancing tonight. And that was my hometown fucking theater. So recently we bought it, me and my friends and shit, and we renamed it Smod Castle Cinemas. And we have been having just a fucking blast with it, man, because of course we show first run movies and shit, but we have the ability to do like anything. I bring live podcasts there, we do Hollywood Babylon there.
Festivals!
We just finished the Smod Castle Film Festival, which was fucking amazing, like 5 nights, and then we did our award ceremony like 2 nights ago and stuff. We had George R.R. Martin come by. He's from New Jersey originally. So he came to the theater, and I fucking talked to him for 2 hours, and all the people on the internet bitched. They were like, let him write the book, correct? But we're gonna have more people coming in, like fucking, I called up all my fucking friends, hit up all my filmmaker friends, because I was like, I own a movie theater, bring one of your movies and let's do a fucking thing where I interview like I did with George R.R. Martin. So I hit up the Russo brothers. They're coming in, I think, February or March, and showing both Infinity War and Endgame. And
Yo!
Yes, bitch, we're serious over there. Jason Reitman is coming right before he goes off to shoot his new movie, probably to show Ghostbusters and fucking talk about it. I hit up Zack Snyder, who is A, a friend of mine, and B, a Jersey fucking native. He came from Jersey, him and his wife. So I was like, Zach, man, I got a movie theater. Would you ever come and fucking show something? He goes, I've never shown the 4-hour cut of Justice League in a movie theater.
Oh!
So he's coming out in the beginning here, and
Mr. Name Dropper.
I love James Gunn. I've got James' number and shit. I'm always like texting him compliments and shit. But I texted him like it was about 2-3 weeks ago and shit. And I was like, hey man, I got this movie theater in Atlantic Highlands. It's called Smod Castle Cinemas, and these cats came out, and these cats are coming out. You got to come out and show Guardians 3, man. And he wrote back so quickly, but it was adorable. He goes, Kevin, I'll be happy to do that and talk about that, but at the moment, I am getting married. I'll talk to you later. So we got guests coming and shit like that. We've got, we're doing events like, there's a movie that I love that I own called that I don't own, that I made called Dogma. Unfortunately, it's owned by Punch Your Assholes by Harvey Weinstein. Personally, I know, it's so terrible. My movie about angels owned by the devil himself.
Fuck Miramax!
If you show it, then he's supposed to get money and shit like that. But we found ways around it. So we had a Dogma screening, and what we did was we sold not tickets to the movie, but we sold Silent Bob bathrobes, and anybody who bought one got to watch a free movie.
You almost bought one of those tonight.
There's an event we got coming up. I think we're gonna do it January or February. It's gonna be a good time, and you guys are fucking close, so you might want to come visit. There's only gonna be like 230 seats for it. It's called Clerks Open All Night, and it's gonna start at fucking midnight. We watch Clerks, and at 2 in the morning we watch Clerks 2, and 4 in the morning we watch Clerks 3, and at 6 in the morning we eat a catered breakfast from Quick Stop.
Yeah!
Ryan will be there, I'll be there, you can wear fucking pajamas, sleep in the fucking aisles and shit. Now, the beauty of this fucking movie theater is that it came with an apartment upstairs. So that's where I've been living for the last 3 months while I've been on tour, man. And it's so perfectly on brand for a movie maker to live in a movie theater. You know, it's like a shoemaker living in a shoe. It just fucking makes sense. And the theater is right up, the apartment's right above the theater and connects to it. So in order to leave my apartment, you can either get in an elevator, which takes you down to First Avenue, it's the main drag in town, or you can go through the back steps, and the back steps are still within the building. It brings you downstairs to the back of the concession stand. And there's a door right there. So like periodically throughout the night, I'll be like, oh my God, I'm out of water. You know what? They got water downstairs. And like I'll go downstairs in my robe and pajamas and slippers and shit and just bomb out like Kramer and fucking whatever teenagers working there was like, holy shit! Sorry, man, I need some water, and I go grab some fucking liquid death, and fucking people coming in to see a movie like, oh my God, it's Kevin James. And like Leah Remini says hi, and I fucking go back upstairs and shit. The other night I was writing, and I was like, fuck, man, you know what'd be amazing? Some Twizzlers. And I was like, they got them downstairs. So it was like the last shows had started. It's a multiplex, there's 5 screens. So the last fucking shows had already started. It was like 9:30 and shit. So I felt safe enough to go downstairs, and I go downstairs to the concession stand, open the door, and there's a kid who I'd never seen before. I knew they worked there, Kieran, her name is, and she was like, oh my God, and I was like, well, I'm so sorry, I came to get Twizzlers and shit. I was like, they should have warned you about me, and she goes, oh, don't worry, they did. And I was like, really? What are they saying? They were like, well, all the kids told me that sometimes you just come out of the walls of the theater and you take food and disappear like Homer into the bushes. I was like, that tracks. She goes, they got a nickname for you. I was like, well, what the fuck, seriously? I was like, what is it? And she's like, well, since you just come out of the theater walls, everyone here calls you the Phantom. So, the movie theater is wonderful, but you know, it's film exhibition is a dying fucking medium to say the least. That's why so many movie theaters are closing and stuff. So it would be vanity to just buy a movie theater and hope that it would work. I got to figure out ways to monetize it. One of the first ways that I can monetize it in a way that other movie theater owners can't monetize their movie theaters is I can bring my shows to it, podcasts and shit. But I always felt like growing up, I'd go to the matinees with my dad, and they were always empty. It was me and him. It's like a big-ass movie theater that turned the power on, pay everybody and shit. And I was like, such a waste of space and waste of time during the day. Movie theaters, they could be used differently, I always felt. Like, what, you got a big whiteboard and a bunch of chairs. Well, that's a fucking classroom. So I always felt like every movie theater should be like a film school during the day and a movie theater at night. Well, now I own a movie theater and I get to test my theory. So,
Yeah!
we open, get ready, Buick University, the Jay and Silent Bob Film School.
Yeah!
You know, you'll find no end of people on film Twitter will be like, he can't even make a movie, let alone teach how to make a movie. And they're right, I'm not gonna teach you how to make a movie, I'm gonna teach you how to make a Jay and Silent Bob movie. I know how to do that shit. So, the curriculum is real simple.
I wanted to
It's
make
like
Cop-Out.
month-long shit. It's more of a fantasy camp than anything else. However, we are partnering up with the college for accreditation, so it would be considered a lab. You can actually take courses online and get fucking college credit and earn a degree and fucking come to the theater and shit. So,
Yeah!
how it's going to be structured for the first go around is like the first week and a half, you meet all the instructors and shit like that. Your instructors are the people you're going to make a short film with. You read the script and give notes on the script, and since I wrote it, good fucking luck. We we get ready for pre, and then next week and a half is production. We make the short, and it's a Jay and Silent Bob short, so you're working with me and Jay. The theme of it is Jay and Silent Bob versus the Jersey Devil, so we're doing a series of like monster masks and shit like that. And then the last week and a half is post-production. You know, during the week and a half of production, we'll bring in a guest, so it'll be me and Jay and Brian, me and Jay, or Justin Long, something like that. Then in the last week and a half, you'll go through post-production. So we're in the movie theaters, hook up the laptop, I'll be editing, and fucking we'll edit on the big screen, and you can have notes and input and all that shit. Then we post it, and then we have the premiere, because we have our own movie theater and shit. And boom, we give you a certificate, which is just as useful as a film school degree. And you're off and fucking running and shit. So that's the way I got to monetize a movie theater, other people don't. The other way I have is, well, I make movies for a living. And if you own a movie theater, fuck, you have a set. So I wrote a movie for the movie theater. The moment I knew we were buying it, I was like, manufacture for use. And so I wrote a movie called The 430 Movie, which is a paean to my youth. It's normally I only go as far back as the 90s. Most of my movies are taken from a very precious 5-year period of my life that takes place from like 1989 all the way up to like 1994. You know, but this time I'm going to reach further back into the 80s and stuff. So this is a movie about how me and my friends would go to the multiplex every weekend, pay to see one movie, and then hop theaters all day. So if Mallrats doesn't go, the 430 movie could go. So those are 16 and 17. Film number 18 is one I've been threatening to make for years. And Lionsgate is going to make it possible. Because remember, they were just like, do you have any more of this Jay and Silent Bob bullshit? I told my clerks through, they were great, what else you got? And I was like, well, Jay and Silent Bob featured very prominently in a movie I've always wanted to make called Moose Jaw.
Yeah!
And I want to make it just for you. And Lionsgate was like, Moose Jaws, what's that? And I was like, Moose Jaws is just, it's Jaws, but with a moose instead of a shark. And they were like, how much does that cost? I was like, about $4 million. They're like, we'll make 3 of them. So it looks like Moose Jaws finally has a home, and that'll be movie number 18. Movie 19 developed fairly recently, man. In order to do it, I gotta be name dropping and shit like that. Me and Jason Mewes went to Ben and Jen's wedding when they got married like a couple months ago. Yes, that's the movie. No, we all learned. No. But when I went to their wedding, man, it was a trip and a half. In order to get to Savannah from Los Angeles, you fly to Atlanta, and then you take a second flight to Savannah. We went to the wedding, which was like fucking unbelievably beautiful, romantic. One of the most romantic things I've ever seen. It would make you believe in love even if you were like a Nazi robot or something. So after it was all over, we had to take 2 flights to get back. And the first flight is from Savannah to Atlanta, but we have weather, so we're sitting on the tarmac 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes and shit. I'm like, we're gonna miss our connector. Jason Mewes, who for him, hope springs eternal. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, we're fucking sitting here on the tarmac, man. Like, by the time we get to Atlanta, our plane's gonna be gone. He's like, you think it's gonna leave? And I said, yeah, of course it's gonna leave. He's like, they'll hold that plane. I said, why do you think that? He goes, because we're Jay and Silent Bob. He's like, have you been on a fucking plane before? They don't hold for shit. He goes, bullshit, I was on a plane once and they fucking held me. We had to wait for 20 minutes and shit. And I was like, where were you? He's like, we were waiting for the pilot. And I was like, all right, well, fucking there you go. I was like, well, you and I are not the fucking pilot. And he goes, you're so negative, man. He's going, you watch, it's going to be there, man, because shit works out for us. And so we got there when we finally took off and landed in Atlanta. There's a lady at the end of the jetway, the flight attendant, who tells you where to go in case our flight was running late and shit. And Jason, it's the first one off the fucking plane, up the jetway, and he's just like, which way to Los Angeles flight? And she goes, back in time. It left 45 minutes ago. And Jason's like, fuck! He's like, is there anything going close to Los Angeles? And she's like, I think there's a flight to the John Wayne Airport or something. And boom, he takes off like a fucking shot. And by the time I catch up with him, he's leaving the help desk with a ticket in his hand. He's like, I'm going home, fuck you, Silent Bill. And he ran away. Took the last ticket, left my ass in Atlanta. And I was like, you piece of shit. But I didn't care so much because I had weed on me. So I was like, I'll be fine. So I found the hotel, the balcony, and sat there smoking weed and shit. I was thumbing through Twitter, and I saw a tweet where somebody was like, ew, I can't believe Tusk is on HBO Max. And I was like, I can't believe that shit either. Let me check. So I love fucking HBO Max, man. Like, fucking HBO Max helped us make this movie. Because while we were making this movie, as you've seen, there are moments where we were recreating things from the first Clerks. And thank God, HBO Max was playing Clerks that night. So while we were shooting the movie, like Leron, who's our DP, would set up a shot, and we have the monitor there so we could see what the camera sees. And then I'd pull up my phone, I'd pull up the scene that we were recreating, I'd pause it, and I'd hang my phone right on the monitor. And then we would tweak until everything looked the same. It's like, Brian, move the pretzels 1 inch. All right, right there. Jeff, slide to the right. All right, right there. And there we go. So HBO Max was very fucking helpful for me. So hearing that fucking Tusk is on HBO Max, I was like, I gotta see if this is true. And I found it, and it was. I was like, this is so fucked up. I can't believe this movie made it here and shit. And then I saw it had a trailer, and I was like, I wonder if it's a theatrical trailer, which is like one of my favorite trailers I've ever made. And sure enough, it was. And I watched the trailer, and it made me want to watch the movie again. And I hadn't seen Tusk in 3 years, but I had the best fucking time getting high in Atlanta and watching Tusk. Because the whole time I was like, it's like this movie was made for me, man! Oh my God, it was so on point. I had such a blast. So much so that like I texted the kids, Justin Long, Genesis Rodriguez, and Hallie Joel Osment. And I was like, kids, I'm fucking stuck in Atlanta after one of the worst travel days of my life. I'm not going to tell you what an asshole Jason Mewes is. I said, but I was sitting here smoking and I'm watching Tusk on HBO Max, and it fucking turned my frown upside down. What a fucking wonderful time I've been having and shit. And I think it has everything to do with how earnest you all are treating the movie. Like in the movie, you're acting your asses off and giving it more credibility than it deserves. It's like you're not in Tusk. It's like you're all acting in Argo or something like that. It's such an award-worthy performance from all of you, and I can't thank you enough. I said, it reminds me of having such a good time making this, and I would like to suggest that in 2 years, it's going to be the 10-year anniversary of Tusk. So why don't we reconvene and make a sequel that we call Tusks? And so I wrote not an S, but a $sign. Because the last time we made the movie, it really didn't work out at all. But like, I'm stupid, I'll do it again and shit. But this time we're gonna do it and make money. Also, as a kind of shout out to this apocryphal tale about Jim Cameron, man, when he was wanting to make Aliens. He went into 20th Century Fox to pitch them on Aliens. He didn't make Alien, that was Ridley Scott. So James Cameron goes in, and like execs are in the boardroom, he's got a whiteboard up front, and Jim Cameron writes Alien on the board. And the execs are like, huh? And then Jim Cameron puts an S after it. And the execs go, ah. And then he puts 2 lines through the S, makes a $sign, they go, wow! So the kids had 3 different reactions to my text. Genesis wrote, I can't wait, she's like such a wonderful fucking soul. Hallie Joel Osment, very funny, just wrote, I see dead people. And Justin wrote, ha 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 ha, and that was it. And then 2 minutes later wrote, wait, are you fucking serious? And I called him up, I was like, yeah, I'm fucking serious, we're gonna do this. He goes, you destroyed half my career with Tusk. I said, bitch, I'm back for the other half, man. So that will be number 19. Movie number 20 is one we can't start shooting for 10 years. Thank God we got all those movies ahead of it and stuff, if I'm lucky, if I'm still above ground. Because the 10th one, or the 20th one, the one that we're working toward, is going to take a minute. We need 10 years. We need our 3rd lead to grow up. If you remember, with Clerks 3, I've achieved like the rare. It's not impossible, but it's very rare in my line of work. An indie film trilogy. Like Richard Linklater's got one, fucking Michael Apted's got one, I've got one. So it's rare breathing space. And when that happened, I was like, fuck, how many other trilogies am I close to? And so I started looking through all my work. If we get to make Twilight of the Mallrats, that'll put me on track for a Mallrats trilogy as well. There'll have to be a 3rd one. But suddenly I was like, wait a sec, I have 2, count them, 2 Jay and Silent Bob movies. That means we're within fucking earshot of a Jay and Silent Bob trilogy. And it's something we've been talking about since we made the Jay and Silent Bob reboot. On that movie, my kid played Jay's kid, because that's how we fucking fuck around. But my kid was in the original Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back as a little baby. And so we were on set one day, and Jay's daughter, Logan, who was 4 at the time, was on set. She was playing Ben's daughter in the movie, or Holden's daughter in the movie. So I was pointing out, I was like, so fucked up. My kid was in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. She grew up to be the 3rd lead in Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. Now your kid is making her debut in Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. If we follow the formula, I said, we gotta do this one more time. And Logan plays the 3rd lead when she's old enough, and she plays the daughter of Millie, Harley's character. And then Jay's like, that would mean that my daughter is playing my granddaughter. And I was like, and that's fucking acting, bitch! So in 10 years, when Logan's 18, she's on the cusp of 8 right now. As soon as she's 18, man, we get to make a movie with her and shit. And we'll be old and fucking gray and looking really grizzled and shit like that. But Jay and Silent Bob and Millie's daughter, whatever her name will be, played by Logan, will take one more fucking journey to Hollywood, presumably to stop a movie or something like that. And since I'll be like 62, 63 at that point and shit like that, I probably won't give a fuck anymore. So we'll probably go to space in the 3rd act. So that's the next 5 fucking books. Although recently, Lionsgate, the people we're in business with, were like, hey man, like they had home video on Red State. And they've been trying to like re-up the Red State deal for a few years, but people that finance Red State aren't in the film business and shit, so they didn't know that they were being reached out to, they didn't understand. So we've been clearing that up, and Lionsgate was just like, we want to pick up Red State, would you be interested in doing a sequel? And I was like, fuck yeah. So now Film 21 is going to be a fucking sequel to Red State as well. So, you know, some people are like, hey man, fucking this ain't creative, all you're doing is sequelizing your old shit. And I'm like, you're absolutely right. But a few years ago, I was very strikingly original, made a walrus movie, and everybody was like, go back to your old shit. So that's where we are. All right. What happened to the guy that asked the question? You sat the fuck down? I went through all that. You're like,
A 40-minute question.
That's true.
5-second question.
Give it up for him.
Did you remember you had a panic attack in it? He's like, I fell asleep. What happened?
All right, that means we jump over here for. Is that the fucking second question?
Yeah.
That's why I got to the mic this
Do you
week.
see 7 to 10 people in like 7? You need to explain something.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys ever been to a Kevin Smith
I-
Q&A. There's way too many people in line. We're gonna get to like 2 or 3 of them and shit. People at the back of the line, I'd like strongly suggest you sit down and enjoy the show.
Nope.
We're never getting that far.
Wait it out.
You watch, we're probably gonna hit her. This is gonna be an hour-long response.
Trust me. Have you heard 5 words out of my fucking mouth? Sit the fuck down, have the guy who gave me a drink buy you drinks. Cause it ain't going past 3 people, I'm telling you. I've done 12 of the 52, and I've yet to say 16 sentences.
They're drumming like
And I got a
flies.
microphone in my fucking hand.
That's up to the audience. If y'all ask Brian a question, he'll definitely talk. But if you don't, I will fucking talk all night long. Anyway, what's your name?
Renee.
Everyone give it up for Renee. Renee's next.
I'm not going down.
I made sure I got to the mic first because I
Not
have been
fucking
saying
even.
this before. I'm kind of a new fan. I've learned about you from my husband, who's like your #1 fan, I'm pretty sure. And I
He
probably
passed
embarrassed
us on like herpes to you. We love that. That's how our shit catches on, man. Other people go like, oh, you gotta watch this. The people who are into this stuff are so into it, they pass it on with passion to somebody else. And that's how my career's thrived for over a quarter of a century. I will let her ask the fucking question. My night, my last night.
Are you the same guy who's saying he's milking it?
That was hysterical. We were laughing backstage at that.
I actually don't have that a question. I just have a few comments.
I will hear your comments and then I'll have comments on them.
I know. My favorite movie was just because I'm new to your world was Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. I love that.
I love that.
And then my husband took me to New Jersey, which he seemed to own something else in New Jersey. Every time we go, you own something new. That's awesome. And then we went to the reading of the script reading of Clerks 3, which was phenomenal.
You were there?
Yeah,
Fucking for that?
it was awesome.
Oh my god, that's
So,
breathing
I was so
rare air. For
excited
those,
to-
let's fill them in for those that don't know. Years ago, we did a reading of a Clerks 3 script that we didn't make, the original version of Clerks 3, which, as you heard, is vastly fucking different from this. The only things that ported over from that version to this, other than like Dante, Randall, Jay, and Silent Bob, and Elias, was the butt thief conversation. The butt thief conversation has always fucking existed in all incarnations. I was so worried for years, because the first draft was like 12 years ago. I was so worried for years somebody would tell that joke before me. Like, because I was like, what if somebody reads the Bible, man? Like, fucking, thankfully nobody reads the Bible. I got away with it. And the kite stuff, ported over as well.
You said this one wouldn't be sad. You lied.
I know. But
And this is my third time seeing it, and I cried just as hard this time too.
To me, it's emotional, but I don't think of the movie as sad. I think of it as like, that's all these Clerks movies is just birth, life, and death. Like, this is just a natural part of the process.
You're forgetting one other thing that poured it over. Dante dies in there as well.
That's true. That's true.
Just a different way of dying.
That's true. Yeah, he died differently in that movie. But anyway, wow, you were there for that?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Okay, that was
So
only
that was kind of like
400
when I
people.
really became invested, I
Bless
guess.
you.
But the last thing that I want to say is actually for Brian, and that's
Ladies and gentlemen, Brian O'Halloran!
I'm so happy to know that you're here
Take
today.
all the time you need.
I'm so happy
You
to
can
know
come.
that you're
You know
here.
what? I do follow-up questions too.
Because when I saw the movie in the theater with my husband, both times, I just couldn't, you were just phenomenal. Like, you did such an amazing job, and I feel like, I don't know what kind of awards can be won for movies like these, but if whatever awards are out there, you deserve, because it was a phenomenal job.
Thank you. I appreciate that. If you were a part of the Academy or the Golden Globes, Foreign Press, fucking a People's fucking Choice Award, I'll fucking get slimed on fucking Nickelodeon at this point. You know what it is? The comedy doesn't get the respect it should. Kevin Smith never gets the fucking respect he should. But the fact that the words that he wrote were given to me, and I literally soaked them up, and when it came, especially to that ending, the last monologue I have, literally I poured all the work that I could into it. If I'm gonna fucking go out, I'm gonna go big, and go home. And I did. I went fucking big, and I went, all right, I'm done. I went home. See you later, bud. Thank you so much for that. The awards, there's politics involved and lots of money that studios throw at fucking award shows to get shit like that. No disrespect to any of the award winners if you're in here. Oh shit, Tom Hanks. No. But I appreciate that. The fact that you guys, the real fans, the fans that we make these films for, think that's it. That's my fucking. You're on my mantle, in my mind, which that's what it is. So thank you. Any follow-up?
No, just that, I'm sure my husband's already online buying tickets for whatever you've got going next in New Jersey, whatever that Clerks 3,
The
1,
next
2, and
thing-
3 sleepover was. I'm sure we'll be there.
That'd be amazing, man. Bring pajamas and shit.
And lotion.
Let me tell you a quick story about how I knew Brian's monologue was going to be fucking amazing. Not because the words written were amazing, but how the performance was going to be fucking amazing. We were in rehearsals, and it was day one of just dry reading the script. Like, everyone just reading the script out loud, nobody really performing. It's me, Brian, Jeff, Trevor, Jennifer, and Jason was there for 4 minutes. And Austin as well was there. And Austin had lines in the original version of the script.
A lot.
And then I took them all away and shit like that. And made him Silent Bob. And he was like, is it my acting? I was like, no, I'm making you bulletproof, man. I was like, everyone loves a Silent Bob, trust me. So there we are rehearsing and shit. And Jason, he's the first one to go. 4 minutes in, he stands up and he's like, I'm going. And I was like, why? And he goes, because I am Jay. I don't need rehearsal. And he fucking left. Everyone else stayed and shit. We read through the script, and again, nobody's performing. It's just literally reading it out loud, and putting a little fucking fucking affectation to it. Not just reading it dry as anything and stuff. And I'm hearing some of these lines I wrote, some of them 10 years prior, for the first time said out loud. It's absolutely fucking magical. So I'm in the God seat at the head of the table, and I got everyone in my peripherals, and everyone's got their face down in their fucking open scripts. And just as we're about to get to the monologue, Brian's monologue in the read, out of the corner of my right eye, I see Brian close the script. And right then and there, I was like, holy fuck, this is gonna be magic. And he did. He gave a performance of that monologue it was about 85% of what you saw tonight. And that was just like a fucking dry first read that he had kind of put a little bit of work into. And everybody at the table like looked up and fucking the jaws went slack and shit. And when he finished, we all applauded and Jeff goes, "We don't all have to act, do we?" It was really beautiful right then and there. I was like, it's gonna be fucking phenomenal. And when we shot the actual scene, most of what you see of Brian's performance and his breakdown is one take, is the very first take. I only bothered to do a second take because he went so emotional at the end of his first take. There was a spittle, a little saliva bubble, tiny, that landed on his fucking lip. And I just know audiences. I've been doing this for 30 years and shit. If I let it ride, 25% of the audience would start chuckling and be like, "Is he gonna clean his fucking mouth or whatever?" So Brian's performance is like too good in that moment. I was like, I don't want anything fucking pulling away from that shit. So I was like, Brian, I got everything I need, but we should do one more take just to grab that. So we did a second take from which I only took the 2 lines that I needed toward the end where he didn't have like a spit bubble on his fucking, otherwise it would have been the whole fucking first take. It was so fucking good looking out. Thank you. What's your name, Captain?
My name's John.
John, give it up for John. John's next.
So I've been a big fan. I used to work at a video store as well, and a Taco Bell, so I know fast food as well.
Right on. You're living food?
Oh yeah,
Food?
a little bit.
All right.
So, was there ever a version of this movie where you didn't show clips of the original movie?
Oh, what a good question. In the original version of this movie, there's no flashback, the one we didn't make.
Well, I mean a cut of the clip.
Of this movie?
This one.
Never. There was always in the script it said, Randall shows Dante the movie, and it was meant to begin with footage from the movie that we made, that you saw them make.